We need to have those drones work by themselves, even without an operator. They must be able to fly beyond visual line of sight, of course. We have to figure out how we integrate them into more populated areas. We have to find the right frameworks that delivers the value.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 147. Is it really possible to build a UAV company around autonomy, given the current regulatory framework? If you ask today's guest, he would say it takes a lot of coordination, but most definitely. Dor Abuahsira is the CEO and co-founder of Percepto, a technology company that brings together real-time machine vision and advanced AI capabilities to create fully autonomous and dynamic drones. The drones are capable of handling multiple missions, reacting to preset triggers, and optimizing operations, all while reducing operational costs. Dor is an industry expert with over 10 years of experience and is committed to creating connected autonomous drones that are fully operational without human involvement. In this episode of the Drone Radio Show, Dor talks about Percepto and its autonomous technology, and how the company works with regulatory bodies to deliver autonomous solutions. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Dor to introduce himself.
My name is Dor Abuahsira, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Percepto. Thanks a lot for having me on your show.
For those that may not know, what is Percepto and what is its primary business?
So Percepto is a leading provider of what I call a drone-in-a-box solution provider. It means that we provide basically a base station, which is kind of a box with a drone inside that a customer, typically a pretty big company or a big facility, will deploy in their site. I mean, they deploy the box once, but they operate the drone and get all the application done using a cloud software that manages the drone from remote. And by doing that, we're basically taking the human operator out of the piloting part of flying a drone. And the goal is to offer a new set of use cases that are more 24/7 continuous operation of security or safety routines or inspection, mainly in industrial facilities.
Let's talk a little bit about the drone itself, because this drone is not like the drones that we normally see consumers are using. Tell us a little bit about it and what makes it different than what we might be familiar with.
The two main reasons that we had to get our own drone is first that most drones you have today they're designed to be in the back of your truck, basically. Because this is the way drones are being used today. Someone gets to a location, take his drone out, fly it, come back to his car and go away from there. And the drone-in-a-box solution has to stay on site in extreme weather and sometimes in very harsh environment that is a result of a specific site, like a mine or power plant that he might reside in. So we need to get drones that will be able to stay in those environments for a few years. And the off-the-shelf systems are just not there yet. Second reason, you'll see in our drone that it's designed from the bottom up to support real-time computer vision and AI applications. I think that the drone-in-a-box solution, the way I see them, is designed to deliver an ongoing service, a 24/7 availability in application like security and safety and the critical inspections. And so the AI and the computer vision application that those drones are performing also tend to be kind of critical to happen right now. For a security mission, if you spotted an intruder, you want the drone to be able to detect it and stay with it and not let you know in a later stage. So our drone holds inside a very strong processing unit, the NVIDIA TX family chipset, the TX2 right now. And the entire cameras and chipset and the entire core of the drone is basically designed to also enable the drones to support those real-time computer vision and AI applications.
I know the system is fairly new. Is it deployed anywhere right now? Have you got people actually using it in real use case scenarios?
We've been deploying it for a while and deploying previous generation system from much earlier than that. So the Sparrow announcement was actually announced at least 2 quarters or quarter and a half after it was already deployed.
Can you give us an example of how it's being used? You mentioned security. Can you run through sort of how it actually functions in its security role?
There are basically 2 missions for security. Either you want the drone to patrol, or you want the drone to respond to alerts. And those are the main applications. So when a drone is doing patrol, part of our offering is the fact that it's streaming video is helpful. And this new angle that you can see the entire operation of your facility is also helpful. But if you got to have someone looking at the drone 24/7, in many ways, you are not really improving the security operation as much as you can, and definitely not saving the cost of those personnel that have to operate the drone. And our effort in the patrol mission is to actually enable the drone to detect what's interesting for a security team by itself. And part of our current offering for security is actually a drone that is able to detect human and detect vehicles and also detect big changes in the scenery to get to a point where you have drones flying around and the human operator only respond to event. And this is how I see automation, in this case for security, to the full extent, that the drone is actually working 24/7 and the human intervention is being minimized to as minimized as we can.
What other applications is it being used for other than security? Where does it find its best role?
I think about it more as an on-site service unit. Think about a big facility like an energy facility. So security is obviously a very big concern, but then also safety. And drone can help optimize safety routines if he could do detection of leaks, for example, or basically any type of sensing capability this drone is able to offer is actually an added value to those type of facilities. And in many cases, if safety is a concern, is a critical value for those facilities. And if you go one step further and think about all the type of inspection that this drone is now able to offer when he is deploying there and working 24/7, then in most power plants, you can probably find dozens of applications that one drone can actually fulfill in a schedule best suited for this client.
Now, I want to shift a little bit and start talking about the regulatory environment, because the way you describe how your system works, it does a lot of flying on its own, a lot of autonomy. Is the regulatory environment conducive to promoting that type of use, or are you finding areas where the regulations are restricting the growth of automation?
Well, of course, they're the main restriction that you have for this type of solution. To my view, it's clear that the technology has the value. The companies like us just have to find the right path of what's working right now with the current regulation to move forward. I'm guessing I'm not going to say something that you are not familiar with, but if we look at what happened in the US with the FAA, it's going to be a decent example of what's going on in the West. In many ways, I think that the US is actually one of the leaders in drone regulation and not behind like I hear sometimes. And I imagine that you and people listening to the show know the Part 107 regulations, which I think made a tremendous step forward. As part of the Part 107 regulation, of course, there is a limitation of flying beyond vision line of sight, which is a constraint if you want to have a system that is working on a site by itself 24/7, or even with a remote operator 24/7. And so we had to meet this kind of a limitation with our clients. And of course, the regulatory procedure to do that is file a waiver for this requirement under the Part 107. And as the FAA is making those applications public, so you can probably see that over the last few months, they kind of set a standard where they do approve beyond vision line of sight approval under certain requirements. And I think there are basically 2 things that any drone company that is looking to be at the edge of technology must do. First, you got to try to figure out new way to move forward with the FAA. But B, you also have to find a way to deliver your value with the current regulation, because the regulation train is moving in its own pace. And today we find a way to work with our clients. It's definitely some constraint on how fast we can scale it. But I think it's more a constraint on massive scale then it is a constraint on building the foundation of your business.
Based on your awareness of what's happening in the United States and Europe, where do you feel the regulatory environment is going?
I think, first of all, the way it has been since 2013 or 14, I think, it's still the case where the FAA is saying, this is a new industry, we want to help it grow, and we're going to work with our regulation framework to help the businesses grow. And there is no other way with regulation but to move last. Technology have to mature first, the use cases have to emerge first, and only then regulation can say, okay, I can approve those to me. And in the drone space, I think that we are very much there. Technology is in a place where it's been demonstrated by clients who choose to move right now, by programs that the FAA is creating and the new government also push forward of more innovative approach of how the drone operation is being done. And then also the ecosystem of startups and companies that are building solutions have got to a point that the regulator has solutions in front of him and can act on them. And I do not see any real force that is pushing the regulation backward. It is still, despite some noises that I know we had around this year, it's still an effort to enable the industry to move forward.
How do you feel about the FAA's regulatory demo program that they just announced and trying to work with local governments and local entities on coming up with some new regulations? Have you had much time to look at that?
I think it's a good step, but it's just part of a bigger effort that must be taken. If you look at the FAA process prior to Part 107, if you remember, they had the 333 exemptions on a route. Or basically, the FAA gave time for the industry to file what they want to do for a few years. He gathered the data and created a plan. I think this is what they're doing today for beyond visual line of sight and all flying over people and all the less requirements that we are struggling with them in a regulation perspective. So those programs are one way for them to learn more about what is out there. But I think that actually most of the data that they are getting is by meeting the companies who are actively using drones for commercial purposes today and about the offering that other companies are offering to them. So this program must be part of a bigger effort to learn what the industry is doing to set the new regulation in the fastest pace possible, because there's a lot of industry that is waiting for that to happen.
Do you feel that more of the industry should take advantage of this program and try to participate as much as possible?
I think yes, but I think also that the FAA should reach out to industry players and just see what they do and not only look at a program, that they set up to test new things.
What's happening in other parts of the world that you see from a regulatory standpoint?
Well, first, I'll say it's a new frontier for any regulation entity in the West, at least. For drone companies, some countries are much less restricting, and you can find places in Asia and in South America that are going to be easier for you to work. But if you're going to work in Europe, US, Australia, you got to work with a regulation entity that is basically learning with you this new field. I think that in the US now, it became the easiest if you just want to have a drone services business under the Part 107. But one of the hardest routes for anything above it. And in other places, it takes more time to start the first steps. But when you get your route to work with the regulator, it's a bit easier to find regulatory solutions for beyond visual line of sight flights. And you can see a lot of work in Australia and Israel and in Europe in some places that are in many ways more advanced than what you are doing from a regulation perspective in the US.
Are there countries where the regulations are changing rapidly, or is everybody taking a sort of measured approach to this situation?
In the West, it's measured approach. Companies that are actually doing something unique are doing it kind of high contact with the regulator. So kind of building a specific plan for that, for a customer, for an area, executing it, and really making sure that they are able to work because they are involving the regulator in a very close contact. So it's new frontier for all of them. They are all still in a learning stage, just as the FAA is. And there isn't any country that has generalized a solution and standards that you can meet and work beyond vision line of sight over people, drone deliveries in their cities. It's not there yet.
How do you guys handle all this, working in all these different countries? I mean, you're from Israel, you got your own rules in Israel, and of course you got Europe, United States, Asia. How does a company like you try to stay on top and work with everybody to achieve the best outcome?
First of all, we put a lot of effort on regulation. We have few people in the company that are all solely focused on solving regulation and insurance concerns for those companies. And like I said, I think that to find the route that's going to get you started and get you even to a fairly advanced point where you have few kind of deployments and things working with a client is something that you can do with high contact with the regulator or just solving those solutions for a specific area. The problem with the regulation is more in how do you scale it in a massive scale? How do you enable, a company to deploy a large amount of system in a way that there is a general framework of regulation that solves them. We do find a way to work right now, but as we look forward and how we're going to scale our business, we are very focused and concerned about how fast regulation is progressing. But saying that, I'm also very optimistic about the trajectory, especially in the US, that those regulations are going for.
Does Percepto position itself to try to help influence the types of regulations that might be coming out in the future? Or do you see yourself saying, let's problem solve and figure out how we can maximize the benefit of whatever regulations are approved?
You've got to do both. We constantly keep the channel with the regulation, with the FAA and other entities, pushing them forward and asking for new things and getting their feedback and keep the conversation going. Because I think today, those processes are high likelihood to influence the process. Those people who are dealing with companies and clients are the same people who are going to have to figure out what is the general framework that can work. And we got to be a part of it. In order to not just do that, but also build a business, you also got to understand what is acceptable today and how you work under those frameworks that you have.
What do you hope that you can do in the future that you can't do today that would really have a profound impact on your delivery of service?
It's the same thing that we've been talking about for some time. We need to have those drones work by themselves in a way that is not one operator, one drone, line of sight, and that's it. They need to be able to work by themselves, even without an operator. They must be able to fly beyond vision line of sight, of course. We have to figure out how we integrate them into more populated areas. Right now, they cannot fly over people. So we have to figure out how can we still use them inside cities. Maybe there is a way to do that without flying over people. We have to find the right frameworks that delivers the value. And this value is being discussed for a long time. Deliveries is a great use case. I'm fairly sure that we're going to see a lot of delivery drones operation over the next 5 years. But we have to find a framework to make it work, both from the safety perspective, but also in the value-adding perspective. I believe that we can see drones in urban places serving many other needs for policing, search and rescue, even news. There are many types of services that you can get from a drone in a more populated environment. Obviously, the use cases that I see as the first to emerge are the more commercial-oriented use cases. Less populated areas, facilities that have high value from the systems, and also the ability to handle and maintain more complex solutions and frameworks, so like in energy facilities or industrial manufacturing or oil and gas and so on. So I think all of those are moving forward, and what we are seeing is just part of the process of figuring out those frameworks. Like the Part 107 actually had a very good solution for the drone as a service model that people wanted to create, and now is available in a very scalable way in this.
Do you see value in if the FAA were to develop incentives to get people to try to come up with innovative solutions?
Well, I think it's helped the process. It's surely going to be great if they can pull it off, and I'm all for it. I just think it's going to be one of the engines that have to push forward, not the only one.
What advice or suggestions would you give to the general commercial drone operators, the people that are out there using drones or building a business? In your mind, what should they do or be aware of as we move through all this regulatory climate or changes?
Well, I think that they should really be aware of what exists today and what is the current mood. And it doesn't take too long. You go to the FAA website, you look at maybe the Part 107 is a bit long, but go over it once. You have all those waivers filed for it. And in a pretty short time today, you have all the data you need to really understand what's going on the regulation side. Find a business that can actually work under those requirements. But also, if you are aiming to do something that is completely new and completely pushing it forward, be part of this discussion and find your channel to the FAA and try to offer how your new and innovative solution works, because this is an important part of the process that we'll have to go through before the regulation will actually completely make the transition to next step.
Anything about Percepto or its products that we should talk about that I didn't bring up?
Well, I think we are really in an exciting time at Percepto, commercially speaking, and probably going to launch another product soon. And I think that our type of systems are kind of the next step that drone will have to take, taking the human factor out of the loop. And what's exciting in what's happening today is that it's actually already here and really there are frameworks that can work for the customers. There are solutions like us that you can deploy. And it's just a matter of now the clients learning about it and starting to utilizing it. And as the market will do it, regulation will catch up.
What's this whole experience been like for you building this company over the last couple of years in this market?
So first, it's a startup, so it's a huge roller coaster. And for me, it's probably the most fun that you can imagine, just dealing with those type of system and building this end-to-end solution, which was my passion when we started the company and still is. And I think that the exciting part is seeing it kind of moving from this kind of super hobby that I had, turning this drone hobby into a technology-oriented business, now into more kind of commercial application that really make a difference and are serving the need of customers. Just an amazing transition to see in a very short period of time. It was amazing to see it until now, but I think we're basically at the start of it.
Of your initial vision for the company, has there been any major surprises or changes that came along as you've taken it from the idea stage to launching the company?
Yeah, almost every quarter. But I think the most major one is that when we founded the company, it was late 2013, early 2014, we thought that the drone market, the commercial applications, like a blue ocean of so much need and use cases, and no one is doing anything. And we set up to build just a technology layer. And we thought that we only going to sell a technology layer. And we had a product really fast. We were selling this model based on a NVIDIA chipset and our FPGA that you can connect to any drone and just add capabilities of better accuracy and detection and tracking. And we thought that we'll find, the market and just add a layer. And what basically we realized moving forward is that the hype was there, the market was not there yet. And so we took the technology that we developed for the market, but then had to build the entire solution to actually offer a solution. Because I think this is what the drone industry is lacking today. Solutions and use cases that are working and serving a real value for the client. And today in the drone space, if you are just offering technology, you have to get a lot of vision and time to wait because the market is still kind of picking up. So this was the main transition, going from a technology provider to a solution provider.
What advice would you give to other entrepreneurs who are struggling with maybe some of the same issues?
I think solution matters, but if you're an entrepreneur, you got to do something that is not the common practice today. We have made a number of unpopular decisions as a startup company that I think when we made them because we thought that this was the right step for the company, not what will help us get investors, those were the right decisions that we ended up with. So even if now I'm saying solution matters, technology is a later stage, maybe your startup build the right technology and in 2 years you're going to see that you were completely right and I was completely wrong. So just do what you set up to do it, not well, but best. And don't give up because it's really a big market is picking up and you just have to figure out how to place yourself in this emerging wave.
What do you want people to know about Percepto's role in the future of the drone industry? What should they be looking out for? And where do you hope to take the company in the next few years?
We want to take drones from the drone as a service model to an autonomous drone model. So if you're a company or a business that think that they can benefit from having kind of a drone in a box solution, you should know that they are available today. You should contact Percepto and work on how this can be beneficiary for your business. And we're happy to be in touch today, not in the future. My main message is this is the present, not the future.
That's it for episode 147 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Dor Abuahsira of Percepto. I want to thank Dor for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about Percepto or want to connect with Dor, check out the webpage at percepto.co. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1 per month, you can help defray the costs of production. To donate, go to patreon.com/Drone Radio Show. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.